2017. Pretty exciting time. So thrilled to be here with you, and excited to get our players back. Got them in last night. Had an introductory team meeting to get them squared away and ready to go today. Got done taking pictures and doing all that fun stuff. But great getting everybody back on campus. Had a super summer. Kids really worked extremely hard. Very, very proud of the effort of our strength staff. Coach Caton and his guys did a great job of getting our young men physically and mentally ready for the start of fall camp. Had some things we want to focus on. And in particular, I just want to kind of recognize some guys that I feel have done a great job in their preparation. You know, it's all about how you prepare. We've been selling that for ever since I got here, and it's not going to change. And so, you know, Greg Gooch and Wes Martin, we give out the Iron Hoosier Award, which is really the MVPs of the summer in terms of work ethic and mindset, leadership, all those things. And it's not real surprising that those guys, when you go out and observe the training, that they stick out. Their verbal leadership, their physical leadership, and the way that they come to work every day. So just really, really proud of those guys. I'm going to kind of go through and by position as well. The offensive line was Simon Stepniak won that award for the summer training. Ian Thomas for tight ends, Alex Rodriguez for running backs, Rich Lago for quarterbacks, Jay Sean Harris for wide receivers, Jacob Robinson for defensive line, Chris Covington, linebackers. Really want to recognize Chris as well, his leadership. You know, as a linebacker, as I tell our guys, that position demands leadership, verbally, physically, and he did a great job with that. He's really stepped up and responded well to my challenge to him this offseason. Chase Dutra as the safety group, and then Ben Bach, individual that got injured last year and missed most of the season, and was recognized as our cornerback award winner in the weight room, and really pleased with his progress, and he's back to 100%. He'll be a valuable part of our football team. So really excited about the work ethic and the preparation our young men have brought. And then got a couple guys that will be limited a little bit. We'll give you guys access to part of our practice tomorrow, and then on Friday, give you guys full access to be able to be there with us and watch what we're doing. So one of those things where we got Brandon Knight and Walt Fillior will be limited here in the beginning of fall camp. So other than that, disappointed that Niall Sykes is a young man that we've lost for the season due to an injury that occurred late in the summer. And so just unfortunate part of the workout, and he's already had surgery, and so he will miss the entire season. So I hurt for him, and he's worked extremely hard. But as we just talked yesterday, you know, he's excited about getting himself back and working hard and getting ready for his next season. So that's our mindset here. We don't blink, and we understand that sometimes life's not fair, and you just got to respond. So I just transparent about some of those things, and that's where we're at. But excited about our football team, excited about our leadership, and anxious to get going today. Have some neat things planned for our guys, and building this team and the mindset of our guys and the way that we approach every single day. So that's all I have for you. What questions do you have?
You say Brandon Knight is the only guy that's really limited?
Brandon Knight, Wop, Phil York. Wop?
Oh.
That's what everybody knows him as. I think his technical name is Mr.
Tom, when you approach this fall camp, since it's your first as the head coach, any differently than before in terms of maybe unique way of doing this now that you get a chance to do that?
Yeah, you have you go through and you kind of pull from the different coaches you worked with. Everybody has different strengths and things that you like about how we did things, and then maybe things you didn't. And so you I think you culminate all of those and bring them together and try and come up with the best structure in terms of the day. You know, one thing I'm real big on is our guys taking care of their bodies throughout fall camp. And so I'm trying to structure a schedule where we can maximize their rest as far as sleep time. You know, there's a lot of studies that show the ability to increase recovery time from injuries and just the ability to compete at a high level as long as you take advantage of it. You know, and so but that's about being a pro. I say that all the time to our guys. be educated, extremely detailed about what that means. And so we want to create a calendar and both in the way that our days are structured and the way that our time is structured, where we can maximize recovery time. Because when we're going full bore, and it's very intense and very demanding. And then we got to get our bodies back. So we're trying to create a structure. So that's a little bit different, maybe starting things a little bit later. And then at the same time, we want to be able to we're going to have more team meetings at the end. I just like to have everybody together and just really kind of get into their heads and shape their mindset. We did that last year defensively with our side of the ball, and I'm a big believer in that. We won't do it every single night, but they'll have structured things. And the first one starts tonight, to be able to start to build team and build mindset and build culture in the way we want our guys to think and be able to come together. So that's a little bit different, maybe other than that, but the schedule, we just kind of go through. We're really going to do a lot of situational work, try to create game-like situations for us to be able to create those breakthrough opportunities we talked about. Did a study on that all last off season here, and all those opportunities we had in games that were close, and be able to recreate those in practice as best we can, so we can be able to change the outcome.
We talked to you last week about some of the freshmen who came here with some of the starting freshmen. How about some second-year athletes who guys were redshirt last year and had this on?
Yeah, I think there's a good group of those guys, and they'll have their opportunity. Alan Stallings is a young man that worked extremely hard. He's gotten bigger and stronger, and I think that he'll be the guy that we look to count on. Taysir Max, another one that we really expect to elevate his game and to be able to play at a high level. Peyton Ramsey's another guy. Obviously, he's a redshirt freshman, and saw him in the spring, but I feel like he's got a lot of special qualities about him that not even just on the field, but the way he carries himself and all the things he does off the field. Those are the guys that come to mind right now. Obviously, they'll have their opportunity here in the next several weeks to prove what they've learned and how far they've come.
With Brandon Knight being limited, does this give you a chance to look at some of these other young guys who haven't had as many game reps?
It does. Yeah, we got just a charge to be able to develop depth, and I think that's one thing that happens. Whether you like it or not, it happens whenever somebody is sidelined for whatever period of time that may be. The guys behind him are forced to respond. Grayson Stover's a guy that, as a redshirt, from last fall, will be able to have a chance to come in now and do a great job. And we expect that to happen. Be several guys in that position.
Do you expect that others guys are a little bit like a long-term thing or something that they'll be back sometime during camp?
Yeah, the hope is to get him back. Yeah, so that's the hope. That's the plan.
What other guys on the offensive line would need to step up to have this season really play to its abilities and help that run game?
Yeah, Delroy Baker to me is a guy that has gotten the chance to play, and I know a guy like Simon who played a lot later in the year but wasn't a full-time guy starting, has to elevate. Coy's got to elevate, take that next step. Those are guys that to me are going to have to be huge for us. And Hunter Littlejohn is another guy that I know he's came out of spring, but just to elevate their game and to continue to develop and to grow and to be able to play at a high level. We got to get the whole group. I think it's just a challenge, and I could talk about other groups as well, but to be able to really focus and to create a sense of urgency to where you have to prepare at a high level every single day. Those guys are excited about the opportunity to challenge. I think DeAndre Love's another one I want to see coming back from an injury, and it's his time. Time to step up and time to be counted for. That's why you come here. And so those opportunities are presenting themselves, and I expect that to happen.
You had some high praise for Chris Covington. Are you looking at him opposite T. Gray in your setup? And is he a complementary kind of back with it?
Yeah, I believe right now, in my mind, he's our Mike linebacker. And I think that he and T. Gray are two guys that can play side by side and be a a very strong linebacker core. I think that he's had opportunities in the past and played well this past season in those opportunities. Needs to be more consistent. That was the challenge, leadership-wise, off the field, on the field, everything. Staying healthy. Athletically is as talented as any we've had. He's 35-inch vertical guy, and that's unusually explosive for a guy at that position for sure. So, and I just, I want it so bad for him because he wants it so bad and has made some real, positive changes. And Damian Willis is another one that really needs to step up, and I expect him to. He's had a good off season physically, had a chance to get himself healthy from spring and surgery, and he's a guy that really needs to, rise up and be a really good linebacker for us. It's going to take several. That's one thing I challenged last year with our guys was T-Gray did a tremendous job for us, but he played too many snaps, and it just made it challenging. In the end, when we needed him, to step up, it's hard, so those are guys that have to really rise to the occasion. Raekwon Jones, another one, that I really have just challenged to be able to say, hey, this is your time to step up and help this football team. And we'll see how they respond.
From a competition and all that, how much of security blanket is to get all 5 of those guys back in the secondary, plus you talk about guys like Chase and some of the others.
Yeah, when you look at our team and the depth that we have at different positions in the secondary in regards to the number of guys returning, the depth that we have there, even compared to a year ago coming into fall camp, it feels a lot different, both corner and safety. And so that's exciting to us. You need that. It's, as we always say, it's a spread game. The ball is out in space so much. You've got to get guys, multiple guys, in those positions to be able to give you depth and play snaps and be on special teams. We went through and did a production chart for special teams for last season. Chase Dutra was all over it. I mean, he was the leading guy by a lot, and he missed a couple games. And so, that's something he's really embraced, and get him on the field. And that's a great challenge to have, to be able to have guys where you say, hey, that's a young man that we know needs to get out there as much as possible. So and keep them all fresh. And he's enough. He has enough of a knowledge of our system as well as the other safeties to be able to be interchangeable, and be able to let guys play different spots. So and we'll even do that throughout fall camp to be able to get those guys squared away and have some depth of corner too, which is a huge difference than we had a year ago.
So I just want to follow up with that. Where do you set the bar next to the varsity? I mean, there's got to be a lot of different things that
Well, to me, it's consistency. We would basically kind of in our mind know because he was young, he was going to be good for a bust or two, in the game, and just kind of almost said, all right, he's a true freshman. They're going to pick on him. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And he's, that kind of. So, that to me, eliminating those is really the next step. Obviously, he did a lot of great things, and he just needs to continue. I mean, he may be. My office overlooks the stadium, and I don't know if there was ever a day that went by where he wasn't out there doing something extra on his own. And whether it was backpedaling or change direction drills or different cone drills or whatever, and just consistently by himself many times on the weekends, and he's just a very driven individual. So he expects to elevate, he expects more from himself, and I expect the same. Yeah, obviously you got guys that have done it in the past. And Jamie Thompson's a guy that has had injuries, came here with a lot of expectations, and has just, he and I've talked about this very openly, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So getting him healthy is his first step, and so he's one. And then Brian Fitzgerald, is another one that we, I think he's pretty special. I do, and have always felt that way. And so he's obviously young coming here, but I thought just in terms of offense, defense, special teams, I thought he was the best player in Indiana last year, in this state. And you talk to high school coaches, there's many guys who said they agree with that, you know. So, but just a little undersized maybe in some ways for whatever people's evaluation, but special kid, and he needs to really just take that next step and embrace what it means to be a Big Ten football player. So we're anxious to see how he responds. But he's a guy that can give us that depth and special teams, and a guy that can run, hit, and tackle. You know. So now, I'm a guy that really would love to be able to redshirt a lot of our freshmen. I think that's the best policy for maturity, for development, for just across the board, from in the classroom to on the practice field, game field. You know, obviously, if they're ready to play, we'll play, and I believe in that. But I know, big picture-wise and program development, and where I see our program being year after year after year, that's what I'd like to be able to do, is to be able to have that luxury to get those guys that extra year, and if we can.
Tom, are you going to make any position changes, or are you going to experiment with any position changes with any players?
You know, not anything different from spring to fall at this point. You know, obviously we got some freshmen that we brought in that we would have said you get the best players you can find, and you figure out where they're going to play later. You know, and so I got some guys in my head right now. I don't want to give specific names at this point because they're just got here, and we'll see how it all plays out. But there's 3 or 4 guys in that class that we've said, hey, we're going to start you here, but we'll see, you know, how you develop, and there may be some changes there. And obviously, as camp rolls along and things happen, you may have to make some adjustments, you know. So, but I feel like that, you know, Keontae Walton is when we moved in the spring from safety to linebacker. He'll stay at linebacker. So, and as a guy that I want and am challenging to step up, you know, and to help us. You know, a guy that's extremely athletic, very strong, and from a weight room and testing perspective is one of our best guys. And so need him to stay healthy and contribute. So that's one that we switched, but other than that, I see it pretty consistent from spring to fall.
When you look at your secondary, do you see enough talent and depth maybe to go with single coverage more than
You know, I'm still a big believer in multiplicity. You know, I think you keep people off balance. You know, everything looks the same pre-snap, and it all goes from there. So I think that's one of our strengths, is the way we can create different windows in the back end. I think it allows you to be able to, you know, do certain things more than maybe we have in the past, which is great. But I still think that, you know, we got to keep people off balance.
What improvements have you seen from Richard in the offseason, and what will you look for him to do heading into camp?
Yeah, number one, I mean, you notice here he was the award winner for the strength and conditioning for his position. I would say it's leadership. I think that he, even when we went to Big Ten Media Day, I had several guys that hadn't seen him for a long time, thought his body changed, you know, the way he looked, and trimmed down and just got himself in great shape. And has always worked hard, but it's just, you know, this is it. Your senior year, this is your opportunity. You don't get 2 of these, you know. And so he has embraced that. You know, I've challenged him. We've met. We've read books together, and he's really done a great job of embracing the process of becoming a leader. You know, and as I've challenged him, you know, and said even last weekend about, you know, obviously taking the team over and putting this team on your back and having that mindset, which is what a senior quarterback needs to do. You know? So I've seen him really assert himself in those areas. And so that's what you want a senior to do, and then he needs to just day by day. That's one thing, as I challenged our guys last night, is the focus isn't on yesterday, the focus isn't on tomorrow, it's all about today. What are you doing today to help us break through? And that's going to be the challenge every single day.
With Redding gone, what are you looking for from your running backs throughout training camp?
You know, a group that a lot of potential for sure. You know, when I look at that group, you know, you kind of get a lot of questions about who's going to be the guy. You know, it's a great question. You know, and I think that that's an exciting thing to wait and see. You know, you never know who's going to rise up. But, I mean, in today's game and the way we play, you're going to always rotate a lot of guys, and that's a good thing. So Mike Majette kind of jumps out to me as kind of the complete guy. You know, he's got to stay healthy, but that's a guy that can do all the different things that we need him to do, and had glimpses of showing that, you know, last season. And then Cole Guest is another guy that has, you know, something special to him. And Vontae Williams has his skill set that's really special and does things well. And he's worked extremely hard. Great young man. Really excited for him. And you know, Tyler T brings his. He's really, you know, responded to our challenge to get his body, you know, in a position where he can be a, you know, really good player. And I sat down with him and challenged him because I kind of, you know, the defensive guy last year, watching him and I know how our guys felt about going against him. You know, he's different, you know, and just seeing how he responds, you know, to the challenge of being able to, you know, and then you got, you know, Ricky and A-Rod, two guys that just constantly, you know, doing everything right in terms of their work ethic and their toughness. And, you know, so I'm just listing a whole bunch of guys, and I counted 2 new freshmen. So, you know, it's just a group of guys that you know, excited to see who rises up, who elevates, and who takes over.
Talk about the secondary having some depth. With the receiver core being another area of the team, you think is
They would be the one on offense that you would just say, hey, that's a group of guys that you know, we've got several, you know, that can make plays. And we got length, we got some quickness, and we got good broad group of guys that I really like, you know, and they have responded well to Coach Hurd. You know, I still thought we dropped the ball too much in spring ball, so that to me is something that we're going to really focus on and hold them accountable to, and just being able, once again, that's when you go through, and I'm not trying to overemphasize certain things, but as we evaluated where we did not, you know, take advantage of opportunities we had been given this past season, several of those were not making competitive catches, you know, in third down situations. You know? And so, yeah, great, you're going to have a great defender making his play, and that's how we approach it defensively on our side. But then offensively, we have to approach it. And we have to make those tough catches. We have to make those plays that, yeah, you're going against a great defensive back, and he is on scholarship too, but we got to come up with those. You know, so that to me is the challenge of that group, and the way we're going to play, and we have to roll guys in and play a lot of guys. And, you know, Luke Timian is a guy that sticks out to me because of just doing everything you ask, and dependable, and had a nagging hamstring last year, even throughout the spring, and so just getting him back, sending him back, and having Nick elevate, you know, and get Donovan Hale to play to the level that I believe he can play at consistently, which we haven't seen yet. You know, you got Taysier Max, the guy you mentioned throughout spring. So those guys in that group, and I was kind of, Ian Thomas can be a little bit kind of grouped in that the way we, you know, plan to utilize him at times. And so it just gives you, you know, some issues, you know, as a defensive perspective to be able to match up with. And so I think that's a group that we're all excited about and expect a lot from. So much is given, much is required. So they've been given a lot of talent, they got to use it.
You mentioned Jason in terms of the off-season work. Seems to be helping.
Seems to be, you know, and I really, unfortunately, never seen him healthy, you know, since I've been around. He got hurt pretty quickly once I got here for the second time. So, you know, just in the return game, you know, that's where I think he could really shine, and then hitting the ball in space, you know, as a slot receiver, you know, and Wap's another guy that has got to prove himself, but you know that he's got tremendous upside. So, yeah, Jay Shines is just another guy you just root for, you know, because he's got such a quality person and always has a smile. Even I remember right after he got injured, you know, it's tough to go through two of those, you know, and his mindset, his attitude has been tremendous all the way through. So you just want to see him get healthy and play well. He deserves that.
Tom, where do you see the pass rush at, and how important is it in what you want to do?
Yeah, you know, I think a year ago we sat here and I was extremely concerned about it, and still concerned. I mean, it's you got to pressure. You know, you go through and you look at the way we played defensively a year ago, and you start figuring, okay, why did things change? And if you look at the raw numbers, we improved dramatically on third downs, and a big part of that is getting pressure on the quarterback. And so, if you notice, you know, we're still not to the point yet where we, you know, effectively just rush 4 guys. You know, that hasn't been our strength. Eventually, I believe it will be as we continue to to address that in recruiting. But we'll continue to do it, as a staff, and we got a great staff of guys that do a great job of scheming those third downs and getting the ability to put our guys in position to maximize, the pressure packages that we have. So that's where your secondary comes in. They got to do their part. And but up front, to me, it's just about you still got to win those one-on-ones, and to be able to get those, and having a guy like, McCray and Gooch that just are going to, McCray is really coming into last. If you remember last fall, he was injured and different things and was real kind of limited and just really never couldn't play early on because of an injury and missed most of fall camp with that because he got hurt early. So it really set him back, and then now just Gooch's development, and we just got other guys got to step up and get pressure, and be able to blitz number. Both our Husky position, our linebackers, those guys all play a huge role in this, and we bring, we're aggressive, and that's how we play. And so the pressure part of what we do up front is a huge part of our scheme, and so that's what we'll just, the thing I love about it is it just kind of looks different every week. We don't have this kind of a lot of set things. It's all modified to adapt to what we're seeing. So we'll continue to do that, and at the end of the day, it's not about the scheme. It's about players making plays. They have to. The blitz is good because the blitzers are good player. They make it special.
What's the big key going from a top 50 defense to a top 25?
Yeah, I think that we've challenged our guys in this area. To me, it's red zone and third downs. We've got to continue to be great at third downs. We've got to improve dramatically in the red zone. And the thing that's interesting about the red zone is that the way that the NCAA creates the statistic, if the offense scores anything, if they can get a field goal, that counts as, it counts against you defensively. Well, in my mind, that's a win. Today's game and the way that points are being scored and the tempo that's being played, you hold them to a field goal, then what we got to do more of now is we got to block more field goals and cause them to miss the field goal, with the pressure up front. So we forced a lot of them. We just, if you look at the numbers, I think they made almost every one of them but one that they kicked. So that's where we didn't statistically look as good as we could have. But I thought we gave too many touchdowns in the red zone, and so we're emphasizing that. I think that's going to be huge. And so, and then the end of it is end of the game execution. I think if you looked at our production and how things played out defensively, for us to take that next step, we were top 25 in 2 categories, and then in like you said, the 40s, 50 kind of range for pretty much everything else. And so to get into that top 25 is depth, to be able to in those fourth quarter situations get those stops. And that to me is what we're going to emphasize. That's conditioning. And that's why we did things differently this summer because of that. It's depth. It's just all of those things you're trying to get with your team. So that to me is and it's the good to great model. We studied the book as a staff, and that's all those kind of things that you focus on, how you go from being a good defense to now being a great defense, and that's the challenge.
We have time for a couple more.
So you talk about pass, feel a little more comfortable with it, but with Nile out, who needs to maybe step up in this list?
That's why it was a tough blow to us. But to me, Alan Stallings is the guy that needs to rise up. Craig needs to rise up. In my mind, from a production perspective, he needs to be able to play to an extremely high level that I believe he can. Gooch has to elevate. The guys you have here have to do a great job of being more productive in that area. And, because even last year we kind of had dispersed pretty heavily. It wasn't one guy that was able to create all those, but I just think that you still, Jacob Robinson has to be more productive. So as a collective group, Hoff did a great job, but he just continued. And he was injured most of the whole year. We didn't make a deal about it, but he's, I think, going to be a lot different player. So all that as a collective group, once again, it's just guy goes down, boy, that group's got to step up as a whole across the board. And I think I've seen it. That's what happens. So he's got to embrace adversity. It makes you strong.
At the beginning, you talked about developing culture throughout training camp. How would you define the culture that you're trying to build here?
Well, to me, it's LEO. You know, it's all centered around the fact that it's not about me. It's centered around the fact that I'm going to do things that are going to allow the guys around me to have success. And when we do well together, the individuals get recognized. And I want that mindset. It's not normal. It's not what is often, you know, maybe advertised, but I believe that's the key. And having an environment where, you know, when you truly care about the people around you and you understand that my decisions affect everybody else, then that's the highest level of accountability, is to be able to make decisions that affect you, understand it affects you, and I'm also man enough to stand up, to hold you accountable as a teammate. And that's what I want. And that's hard to do when you're peers. It's hard to be able to say to one of my friends, you know, you shouldn't do this, or get on a guy for whatever, even if it's on the practice field and while we're running, while we're conditioning, when you're off socially, whatever. That's what I want. And to me, that's a powerful thing that doesn't just happen. And so, you know, and we talk about, you know, everybody talks about family, and every program in America talks about that, but you know, a lot of times it's just that, it's just talk. You know, I want it lived out, and I want it to be able to be felt. But when you're playing for the people around you, you know, that's what is special. And it cannot be very shallow, it's just about you. And so that's the culture I want, and we're just going to keep creating it, and keep working at it, and you can't just, when you get it, you got to work hard to keep it. We're not where we want to be yet, but that's what we're going to continue with.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Great, thank you.